Hey folks, Mr. Justin here with Secret Weapon Miniatures and another Workbench Wednesday. First up, I want to thank you for joining me again. And of course, if this is your first time tuning in for Workbench Wednesday, please remember to like, subscribe, bells, whistles, all the things you need to do in order to make sure that you're keeping up with everything happening here at Secret Weapon. This week, I am hopefully finally, finishing off those Gaslands vehicles I started a while ago. I had a lot of other things to do in the interim, and I keep getting distracted by new builds instead of course, finishing the paint jobs I'd already started. So today I'm mostly going to ignore my builds, at least until the painting is finished. But one of the things I want to get back to is this old truck that I had been working on. Tribute to one in my neighborhood. So yeah, lots of projects, lots of fun things to play with today. But the first thing I'm going to do, you can see I had actually been working on my Gaslands stuff and simply pushed it out of the way to make room for the paper and slid it back on. So this is, as I slide things back over here, you'll get an idea for what the desktop normally looks like when I have a single spread out project in front of me. But let's see. I had promised to preview our upcoming line of pre-painted bases. And I've got the first two test themes here now. The others will actually be here today. I'll have several themes to show off next time. But in this case, I'll give you an example here of an unpainted piece. So this is the material prior to paint, prior to color. And this was actually for the test of Shattered Ritual. Now, the scale on these is wrong. Let me find one. It has some detail here. So as you can see, the scale's off compared to the existing Shattered Ritual bases. So we'll have to fix that. But all of this detail, I mean, you can hear that it's actually recessed around the skull, recessed in the lines. Really fantastic, fun stuff. And just test prints, which is why you'll see that little white ring around them. The actual print quality doesn't have that. And that's why I've been showing off the lava flow bases, especially, is get some manual focus in here. Oh, it wants to work, but I'm still gonna. Let's see. Desk cam. Properties. Always forget to have this loading before the show. My apologies for that. One of these days I'll figure it out. Alright, no promises. Yeah, so there's that lava. Let's more light on this. So you can see the depth of color and the texture. And again, the little white ring here, that's just from the test print. The current jig is perfect. Lines it up just right. And of course, this is a black hip space. I can bend it. I can pin it. I can glue it. All of that's still there. It doesn't pop out. It's not like that. It's not an insert. So that's what I've been playing with. We've been a little busy with some fun new stuff. Let me get the focus right now. Because hey, look, text. Well, it looks right to my glasses, so here's hoping. All right. So hey, looks like before I get started on projects today too, I have a couple of questions here. So Charles, if you use Tuster's White Lightning one spray lacquer by accident, can I strip that with ISO? Ouchie. Yes. Well, I don't know. but only because I'm not familiar with the spray. I've never used their White Lightning one spray lacquer. Um, but if that's the only thing on the model, yeah, I would say hit it with ISO. Uh, why not? It should work. It's good at stripping everything else off, so I can't imagine it won't work on this. But yeah, having not used it, all right. Well, unless there's another question, I like questions, so let's do questions. No, all right. I'm gonna get back to some finishing the Gaslands vehicles because I can't just keep starting new ones. Well, I can, but I think it's time to take a little break from that, given the sheer quantity of pieces I now have waiting to be finalized. I know I'm missing some more. And one more, yep. Yep, all right. So these are the ones I actually want to finish today. I do have my van, but because I had that overspray where my mask was imperfect, I'm going to put signs on the side of this, and that's going to take a little more thought on my part, so I don't think I'm going to get to this guy today. But I do intend to go down these one at a time and pretty much just finish them off. I need to paint the wheels on most of them. I need to find the plow for you. Where's your plow? Plowy, 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 plow. There you are. Reattach that plow. So I'll just set that aside here. And, both Charles and Miniature Mayhem, thank you very much. First for tuning in. And of course for the compliment on the lava base. That's going to be very exciting. So the White Lightning is a white pearlescent lacquer. Ooh, you put that over previous paint layers. Yeah, well, about that. So yeah, the ISO might take off the lacquer, but it's also going to take off the paint underneath it as well. It's not generally gentle and forgiving. It's an astringent, yeah. And with acrylic paint, it's a solvent. So if you have sprayed white over your colors, you have my sympathies. I don't know of a great way to solve that with materials you're going to have on hand. You can try it very carefully with a brush, I suppose, a damp brush in ISO, and just go very carefully, very slowly. Hopefully it's a small model, and there's only one of them. Oh, that's brutal. And I know I took my perfect grade Millennium Falcon and put spray adhesive all over the exterior of the top of it at one point. That was exciting. All right. So I am looking at these guys. I need my watercolor pencils back. Phew. Cup of pencils hidden by my head. Wow. Where do they come from? Mostly gonna need my white anyway. One at a time, down the row. Here we go. Phew. Magic shrinking chair. Oh yeah. And my glasses. I am one of those that could and should generally be wearing transition lenses. But I explained to my doc that if I'm going to have to use a transition from when I'm working, I'd rather just have a complete eye covering glasses or pair of glasses so that it doesn't obscure any of my field of view. visibility to stay consistent. So I'm using my watercolor pencils again to get in here and just add some highlight back in where the weathering obscured it. Add some definition back onto the engine just by highlighting those edges. Yeah, so you can see where I'm adding the effect. I'll just get in the habit of working right here for you. So you can see where I've added the highlights back right here. A little bit on the hose. I'm going to hit the edge of this. Some set the dog off. All right. A little bit of additional highlighting on some of these pokey bits. Jess, would you be kind enough to sharpen that one for me real quick?
Yes.
Sharpener's just off to your right.
Yep.
Yay, sharp pencil. Thank you. So again, I'm putting it on white and just using my fingers to burnish it in. And that's going to give me a fairly sharp highlight there, of course. But I'm okay with that. That's exactly what I'm after. Particularly since I'll lose a little bit of it when I varnish. Highlight an edge or two. Oh. Not very much stripping the paint. It was only a base coat there, but now no small. Ooh. Well, since Charles, it's only the base coat that you were trying to seal, what I might recommend doing is actually just spraying over it at this point, or painting over it at this point. Just keep going from where you are. I don't see a big reason to strip it unless that layer or the techniques you're going to be using going forward excuse me, present a big risk of obscuring detail on that model. And knowing the model, I don't think you're running much risk. But yeah, I mean, at this point, you've got a base coat that's obscured by a layer of varnish. Give it a go. Slap some paint on top of that, just like you were going to anyway. But you'll have to redo your base layer, obviously. Yeah, and in that case, I would just try painting from where you're at. Since, I mean, you're talking about going back to the beginning anyway. If it's not necessary to strip the model, don't. Right, working up here now, so you guys can see. Edge highlights. Oh, they're so easy. First time I demoed this technique with the pencils in a class, I actually had someone curse. They were mad. Told me they'd spent a long time getting really good at using a brush to make edge highlights, and it's still a pain in the butt. And I'm like, well, yeah. I can use a brush to do this too. Why in the world would I do that? It's much more difficult. Despite the amount of time I spend painting, I do spend more time with a pen or pencil in my hand. At least in terms of total hours. edges here. Just a little more definition. Let's see, I got some in here too earlier. That way we've got some definition on those. That said, I'm going to see what this yellow can do on this yellow. Well, I can. No. Let's see what I can do with. I'm just going to bring in a violet. No, it's not going to give me the effect I want, so I'll come in with a tan. Like brown action. Up here. In Miniature Mayhem, to answer your question, I did the chipping on this car using the, well, I was going to say I did it using the hairspray method, but I don't see a lot of other chipped cars. Actually, there should be one more like this, so I'm missing another one. Oh, this is that one. Derp. Yeah, I think I did the hairspray technique on both of these, at least on the roofs. And, yeah, then on the sides, looks like, well, maybe the sides on this one as well. Yeah, looks like I did the hairspray technique on both. So many other projects going on right now, and so many different ways to do this that it's easy for me to mix up the individual projects. But this would be on a Workbench Wednesday from about 2 weeks ago. Other thing I'm busting out a lot. Oh. Yeah, Charles, happy to give you the advice on painting that piece. The fact that it's a large piece actually makes this a bit easier. You may find that you only need to spot strip, and in that case, taking the brush or a cotton swab and just hitting those spots do you well. But yeah, the other tool I'm using a lot is my 1/2 mil micron pen here, making sure I have outlines in all the doors. Looks like I got that one, so I'll move on to this car since that will be next. Now I have better definition on those doors. See, it's not bad right now, but now it's better. I can also take a look at the pipes I added through here. Touch up the definition between those pipes where the glue got a little smudgy. And welcome, Jordan. And yet again, you see tools in action that you wouldn't expect for miniatures painting. Colored pencils. Oh yeah, I use my watercolor pencils a lot. I'm back to my Micron 1/2 mil pen here for panel line definitions on these itty bitty models. I will actually add it. So you can see I've got a lot of blue in the seam for the trunk here. So let's take that boot Fill in the boot. One well-defined boot. There we are. And yeah, the definition you see here on the hood and everything, that was all done with pencil. I'm going to actually add a little more with the white. To help better define, get you in camera. Define these sections here at the front. They're still blue. So big white smudge. Yeah, I do need more light than that. Let's see if I can get out of the way a bit more. Less harsh. All right. Oh, you know what I'd like to do? A little extra shine and highlight on that part of the engine. Get in here and define this a little bit. The other side. A couple of these little pipes. Yeah, I can get in there with a paintbrush. What in the world would I want to try? It's gonna be a pain. All right. I do want to find the rust. Oh, let me see. Yeah, so in making this gun, I took a bit of plastic tube, drilled the holes in it, and then took a smaller bit of plastic rod and stuck it in the front. And what I typically do on cars like this is just cut off one headlight. You'll see that on several of them. And replace it with a gun. Now this one, I actually made a little minigun. And in that case, I took the piece of rod first, then a piece of the larger tube, and then a bunch of the same small, or actually a smaller rod, made a bunch of equal lengths. So there's a piece of the tube here where I started. The rod runs all the way through, and then little rods, a little bit of methyl ethyl ketone, the plastic cement, the liquid stuff, the solvent. On those, roll the rods around them until they're straight. The next cap, the next set of rods, poof, minigun. And the little mirror here is actually from the secret weapon kit. A piece of the new die-cast brass. And thank you, Jordan. Yeah, I mean, the idea on this is to keep it simple. Don't want to burn a whole ton of time here, especially since most of these are gonna wind up on Etsy, and the more work I put into them, the more I'm gonna feel obligated to charge for them at a point where nobody's buying them. Because oh, and yeah, I'm gonna do rust now with pencils. Gotta keep it down to enough work to keep the price reasonable. Save the crazy stuff for commissions. That's when I get carried away. So I just used watercolor to glaze over that brown and add some shiny new. Okay, not exactly shiny, but some new orange detail. Now I can come in and just define sections. Do my little drips. I'll hit this with matte sealer later. Too yellow. What else have I got? Too yellow it is. Boom. More interesting rust. All done with pencils. Let's get some of that action up here. Just run that line down very slightly. Roof here, corners, and here. Center area a little more interesting since it's so plain now. Corner nice and heavy. A little bit of that yellow. Make the roof a bit more interesting. And last but not least, come over on this side, get a little bit of that orange. Up through here, there. Little recesses. Oh, question here. Well, Charles, I'm glad that that white pearlescent worked out over the other colors and that it helped obscure more of the seams that you had to fill in earlier. And Jordan, you have a question here. When you blend the watercolor pencil with a cotton swab, is it just a dry swab or is there some moisture involved? In this case, I'm using a totally dry swab. I will save the damp swab for generally larger areas or when I need a smoother blend between these, a smoother transition. In this case, I'm not looking for a smooth transition. I'm doing some 1/72 scale rust in order to, or 1/64, I guess. Anyway, some teeny tiny rust bits, mostly to add interest to a teeny tiny model. You're done. A little more orange to the roof here. All right. Next, this one, I need to actually paint the windows. I'll set this aside for last because I'll do all the painting in one group. Takes care of those. Takes care of all of this. Grab my pen. My handy pen. You are the one I'm looking for. Ooh, you're not the sharp one though. Not the super pointy one. There we go. Define those. Define that. I'm gonna hit these little boxes here. Oh, that's only on one side. All right. So you're waiting for paint, just like the rest of them, since the wheels or tires, whichever way you want to say it, are still waiting. This one, I like this one. This one, my friend. Not actually sure I need to do anything to this one. Not even the tires. Well, a little more definition won't hurt. I already have some weathering on this one as well, and the streaking and whatnot. Now that tail, this would have been chrome. So I'm actually going to take my pen and chrome that bad boy up. And yeah, this is one of the silver Sharpie. They make them in silver, gold, and bronze. At this scale, I actually really like it for all my little chrome bits. Okay. Well, I'll leave this one out. No, I'll use that again, but for the moment, it's just a red Sharpie. Voila! All done. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. All right. Well, unless someone out there in internet land sees something, I'm calling this one done. Set that aside. And this little feller. And yeah, I'll take this outside and hit these with some GW varnish, whatever it's called. The current iteration is called. But yeah, they're the Games Workshop Citadel Dull Coat is my go-to varnish for these. For anything really that I'm going to be spraying with varnish. Did a whole video on why, in fact. It's sometime back. It ought to be in the archive under where I talk about spray cans, rattle cans. Actually did some demos on the different types of caps and what they do, and yeah, all of that. But yeah, I'll just hit these with some dull coat, and I'll be good to go. So whatever your preferred dull coat is, it'll work just fine. And yeah, you'll find, Jordan, you'll find that I use a lot of pens and pencils when I'm doing my work, particularly for fine line stuff like that. Like I said, I can do it with a paintbrush, but I'm still not as good at doing it with a paintbrush as I am with a pen. And over the course of my life, I've had a lot more practice with a pen or pencil in my hand than a paintbrush, despite the fact I'm trying to make up for that now later in life. It's still true at the moment. My cuppa is gone. No more cuppa for me. All right. Waiting for tires. Waiting for tires. Oh, and your Whoosy widget to be glued back on. Already defined the panels. Yep. Waiting for tires. Let's give this a little more definition on the edges near the front here. A little heavier around the lenses there, lights. Yeah, and I find the pencil is especially good for edge highlighting, because again, I can just use the edge of a pencil and drag it along the edge of the model, and Bob's your uncle or something. I'm finally gonna have to look that one up. Wonder where the heck Bob's your uncle came from for a long time. Yeah, all right. Anything to define on the truck? Oh, its ladder came off. That's no good. No ladder off. Ladder stay. Come on, little brass ladder. So I'm just going to leave this because it needs to let that little brass piece dry. I can clean up the pencils. With everything so conveniently placed by my desk now, do my best to keep the space cleaned up of tools as I go, at the very least. And by very least, I mean exclusively I do only tools and only the minimum. And I break my colored pencils because they get stuck in the pegboard sometimes. That's alright. Alright, you guys, that Q-tip. I will need some brushes. Will not need some pen. That was for cutting tube for a different project. I have not tried printing license plates for these, only because at some point, I mean, again, particularly since this batch is going up on Etsy, unless somebody's asking for it, it's not something I would generally do. On a couple of my projects, I might, but when I get around to doing my projects, I get a lot more carried away, like this one, with its 2 engines now. Vroom vroom. Or, where's the other one of those buggers? This one, which I'm currently building fill in for here. So I'll wind up doing a Knox tanks here inside of a frame. Round off the edges, run the tubes, do other things. And this one gets super gigantic wheels for the back, so it will also have 3 sets of wheels. So when it comes to me, I get a little carried away. Which is also why I keep playing with new vehicles instead of finishing off the ones I have. And yeah, time to stop that. But then you find one like this from Matchbox, and this whole frame comes off. So I can detail all of this, and I will, all the little gear on the sides. But then I can put the frame back over it, and I can start adding weapons directly to this frame. So I'm in love with this. And then I found this guy, which has tracks, and I didn't get the rivet out of here, apparently, all the way. This is the one that tried to eat me the other day. You can actually see I got the rivet head drilled out there, but then it got stuck in the plastic, bent the drill head, and messed my hand up pretty well. And yeah, looking back here, I still don't quite get how we're stuck. But I'll worry about that later. Like I said, it's easy for me to get distracted, but suddenly I want to start putting, you know, tracks on, gosh, every one of these things. Like this guy would look awesome on tracks. All right. Me and my toys. Oh, hey, we have a Bob's Your Uncle story here. The origins are uncertain, but a common theory is the expression arose after Conservative Prime Minister Robert Baum Cecil appointed his nephew Arthur Balfour as Chief Secretary for Ireland in 1887, an act which was apparently both surprising and unpopular. Whatever other qualifications Balfour might have had, Bob's Your Uncle was seen as the conclusive. All right. Well, thank you, Greg, and thank you, Jess, for the effort, too. Yeah, Jordan, you're right. There was a triple-decker car, the Gigahorse, was the one. It's oh, I forget what the base of the car is, but the top two are the same kind of car, stacked backward. Yeah, and that was the Gigahorse. Yeah, yeah. Well, and goodness knows, it's not like any of my vehicle ideas here are truly unique or original. Chances are good someone in the Gaslands group has beaten me to everything that I'm doing here that doesn't involve the Industria Mechanica and Secret Weapon brass. Yeah. All right, let me get back to this. I'm going to be painting now. Let's change that focus back. Get my nasty old paint water jug. My super tidy palette. Oh. Through all these paper plant samples. Let's move you guys right there for a minute. And engine fluid is not what I need. I need tire black. And rubber. Get into my hand. Jordan, no, I do not use a vise when I'm drilling these out. It's normally a very quick, simple procedure. In fact, Michael from Industria Mechanica recently did a video of that where he uses his little hand drill and shows you that most of the time when you're coming after these, you can, let me see if I've got one here that's cleaner. All right, so I haven't started taking this one apart yet, but you can see the little rivets right here. And they're large enough that the tip of your average little drill bit, a little larger than that size, is going to fit in there just fine. And then break it loose from the post, because what happens is, you can actually see where I took off the rivet head on this one. Change the focus here again. So all I had to do is drill down a little bit, oops, and it pulls off that little cap. Because it's not so much a rivet, I mean, it is, because of how it's processed, but that post starts from the vehicle. So all you have to do is get that little bump out, and the post will slide right out of its body. On a lot of my projects, I also simply don't do this. So you can see, here was my post. Drilled out that little metal head on this, and it came right apart. And on this vehicle, there's only the one. The rest is just the clip here in the front. Click, click. On most of the Hot Wheels, there's two. You'll see on these. Oh, that's a single. And a clip in the back. But yeah, these are double. And the older the vehicle, the more likely that is to be domed, which is its own special kind of problem, and why I did not cut all of these apart. And I don't always. I don't generally find it necessary unless I want to do something funky. Like, you know, only use the tracks. Yeah, when is a rivet not a rivet? When is a paint towel not a paint towel? It started life as a sock. Genuinely love that people started calling these waffle socks. Makes me happy. There's actually several companies that make fancy paint towels that button onto your arm and the whole bit. Never quite understood that. A little better, isn't it? So the last thing I'll wind up doing is I'll hit each of these with a bit of the Jud's matte varnish, and Then come back with a little bit of pigment on things like the wheels, tires. Little spot application on recesses, runners, that sort of thing. I'd gotten into the habit of holding my brush by the ferrule for a long time, which is something I actually don't want to do with a brush. And I'm out of that habit now, but I still can't help but laugh because every time I think about it now, I mentioned to Jim Wapple once that I simply couldn't get out of the habit, that for whatever reason it just seems ingrained now. And he suggested that I electrify my handles. That way the ferrules would zap me every time I touched them. I'm not saying that's what it took, but let's say I think about Jim every time I'm not holding a brush by the ferrule. And yeah, Jordan, you're right. Some of the newer ones are a lot easier because there's more plastic. It's actually what made this one nice. The entire bottom kit here, bottom vehicle here. The posts were plastic. You can see the two plastic posts that I took out here. And the body was plastic, so this actually had, of course, a little cab here. And I just snipped that off, filled in my wheel wells with some metal that I'll wind up making look like rusted plate. Put some little hooks onto the vehicle to make sure there's a reason for it to be there. Wood putty, of course, is a gap filler, like I usually do. Looks like I need to refill this gap. Yeah, so this one was very easy because the whole thing was plastic. And I just picked up this one. So I was surprised that since the rest of this looked plastic, that it's actually metal. But I like this guy. But yeah, the body's metal, so I've got the two metal rivets, and that made me sad. I wasn't expecting it. Man, I sure am getting tired of this project. Hope that was painful for the audience. But only because I love you kids. Nobody else is going to put up with me for 2 uninterrupted hours. Silly Justin, don't put your vehicles on their wheels after you paint them. Put them on their roofs. Be on your roof. This is, of course, the tire black, which is, if I say so myself, the perfect tire color. I may be biased, but it doesn't make me wrong. And I put a lot of work into these colors. The tire black was one of the more challenging for us, actually. Because I could have just done a blue-black gloss, but it's not that. You start thinning it out, you'll see a lot more color in there. Lots of blue and brown to get that right color. Oh, right. I broke my cup. 11 o'clock, I might have to take a short break to go get a new cup. Long-time viewers, I know, will be shocked. Shocked, I say, shocked, to know that I did not sleep well last night. So in addition to being sleepy, I'm also crazy jealous because it turns out, I don't know if you guys have summer dollar movies where you're at, but lots of the theaters out here will do $1 or $2 matinees of older films. And then occasionally they throw in something new and hot. So today my family is off to watch How to Train Your Dragon 3 in the theater for $1 a piece. And given that the theater has a really incredible $5 rum punch, I'm not saying I would have ordered a rum punch at 10 a.m. in order to go watch How to Train Your Dragon, but yeah, it would have happened. Oh, you actually, Greg, you actually used Tire Black for tires for the first time. Congratulations. Yeah, I've certainly used it for more boots than tires myself. And of course, thanks to the incredible Kenny Boucher, we sell a lot of Tire Black for people that are using it as part of his Black Armor formula. And that is pretty hot. Sorry to hear that your dollar theater closed down there, Jordan. That sucks. Yeah, we get a bunch of them around here. Like I said, a lot of the theaters will do it. Because of course, then what they do, it's $1, $2 a ticket. They'll put together a kid's little meal bundle, so popcorn, soda, usually something like an Otter Pop. $5. And yeah, the queue for that is always longer than for the movie. Concessions clean up. But yeah, if you have a dollar theater that's not doing its F&B sales, it won't last long. Well, for that matter, any theater that's not doing F&B won't last long. Have I ever tried making cars? Oh, da, 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 da. Yeah, I have seen that the Gaslands book includes rules for bases. Um, but no, I have not tried making any of those yet, and they don't match any of our existing sizes. If I had the base size available to me in plastic, I mean, I might try making some in our pre-printed theme, pre-printed sets rather. Same thing, I have access to the 1-inch hex bases, but I'm not sure that BattleTech or anybody still uses them. If they do, well, I might try some hex bases too. Um, the whole pre-painted base thing is gonna, yeah, mix things up for me a bit. I hope you all are prepared to support that Kickstarter. The printer in question is, when I say expensive, I mean obscene. So it's a very new, very different thing. Patent pending, in fact. Actually spent time working with the manufacturer of said printer to get it to do something it ostensibly can do, but is certainly not designed to do, obviously, and had to really push their technology to the limit. Oh, nice, Jordan. I hope you'll share some photos of that Fallout style drive-in on the tablescapes boards on our Facebook page, please. I'd love to see photos of that, and I'm sure others in the audience would as well. That sounds really awesome. And working with Michael at Industria Mechanica to get some new unlimited range of Gaslands terrain worked out. There's a billboard already, and of course I'm already thinking about pre-printed inserts for the billboard. Give you your choice on the website. Rubbed off all the paint. Silly Justin. More than once. Well, we finally got through Stranger Things Season 1 last night. For fans out there, finally catching up with the rest of the world. I've been on the to-watch list for a long time, of course. Start season 2 tonight. Voila. That is tires for everyone. I'm actually going to hold off on the rubber. I may not need it. At this scale, it may be enough to do the tire black and a bit of pigment. Set that one aside, because that's the last one I did. You still need your Whoosy Widget back. Your windows. All right. Oh, and just finished season 3 yesterday. Goodness. Yeah, I'll be curious to see how they carry it on. Very fun. And yeah, Jordan, definitely having something to do while you're on the treadmill makes the time go by faster. Too thin. And it all too much. Yeah. Oh. That'll work. Woo! Not there, not there. Abort, abort. Never happened. Ah! I did it again. My finger this time. Oh my god. A menace to myself and those around me. By those around me, I mean models. Oh yeah, the yellow windows will just get a quick wash. Bring them down. It's not thin enough. Chasing the dragon. Good. All right. Yellow is not a strong color, so I should not need a lot of my charred salmon here. I think that's going to be the right color for this. That's the orange I was looking for. Kind of a salmon. Still wet, still wet, still wet. That's fine. Maybe fine. Maybe too wet. And that is what I'm going to do with Windows. Although, again, the lights are bright. Well, it's wet. You can't really see. And yeah, paint orange tint for gradient. And Jordan, if you don't want to take the time to paint all those scales, do remember that several companies make excellent flexible meshes that you can use for exactly those textures. What is it? Anarchy in the UK. It's the first time I've ever had to say it that way. But anyway, Anarchy Models in the UK is my go-to at the moment. But I know that a US manufacturer for those is coming soon. All right. Yeah, just wait until you guys start seeing the grass tufts that we're making. That's going to be nice. So, with the exception of one plow, these guys are done. Take a quick sweep for detail I can add. You'll know that if I find something I can add detail to, it'll get done. Oh, come on. Get a little nest. Some nest. Nest. Be a good plow. Waiting for glue dry with Mr. Justin. Yeah, Jordan, trying to do the scales with a watercolor pencil is a great idea. Give it a shot. Yeah, Liquitech makes a line of acrylic pens that I've never used. Now I have an excuse to go try them. But all right, here is what will be the Gaslands offering as I launch my Etsy shop here. I mean, it's not a giant plastic Hey Hey repainted, but oh yeah, that's coming too. Is there actually a Hey Hey still in here? I take my Hey Hey out.
Hey Hey's gone.
Hey Hey's gone. Oh, that's right. We painted Hey. We did our paint test on Hey Hey. I may have to show you guys what's coming. It'll be an awful lot of fun. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a cuppa. And I'm back from outer space, or the garage, whichever was closer. So, sometimes you're hanging out with a good friend, and you get a crazy idea, quite by accident. So we came home with one of these as a gift for Jess. My wife and I saw it in Target, and honestly, we just couldn't help ourselves. We've got an original Hey Hey drawing over on the wall from Jess. She and my wife, on one of the visits when they were still not living out here, my wife and Jess made a Hey Hey stepping stone for the greenhouse. It just, I mean, who doesn't love the Hey Hey? But we have a lot of Hey Hey. We have 20 Hey Hey. We have 20 of these. Because we're going to repaint them. And we actually just did the first paint test with our three favorite brands here. We had my Dollarani inks here, represented in the white. We had golden liquids on the purple along the back. And of course, all of them on the tail. And then we had the mech line from Secret Weapon on the side here. And I'm very happy and very pleased, honestly, that it was the Secret Weapon paint that's actually the most durable. Even when you're squeezing your Hey Hey. And yeah, this is from Moana. But yeah, in this case, I was a little surprised, actually, that like the Dollarani just came right off. We could just rub it off with our fingers. Same with the golden acrylic. But like the yellow did not want to come off, and it actually took fair effort from my thumbnail to make any damage whatsoever. So very happy with how durable the Secret Weapon paint turned out to be. Oh my god, I'm surprised the dog hasn't knocked down the door yet. All right. So, yeah, we already know that we're going to repaint at least one as Deadpool. We've got a Rick and Morty Hey Hey's coming. What am I missing? What were some of the other Hey Hey's? Deadpool, Rick and Morty.
Deadpool, Rick and Morty. Oh my gosh, I can't remember now. We have a list.
We have a list, yeah. We have a whole list. And we figured we'd do 6 of them to start with. Leave the other 14 alone for the moment so that we could also accept commissioned Hey Hey's. So if there's a character you'd like us to turn a Hey Hey into, yeah, we're going to be repainting Hey Hey. Because we can. Everybody needs a hobby. And we spend enough time playing with our dollies, in my case, and now her watercolors. It's nice to have something. Oh, a Totoro Hey Hey. God, yeah, we have to have a Totoro Hey Hey. Who doesn't want a Totoro Hey Hey? All right, another question from Jordan. Now that the yeah, there you go. You can see the subtle orange on the car here now. But we have a question from Jordan here. What sort of glue do you use to attach those pieces like that? I'm guessing you need something that has a bit of body as gap filler. Which pieces do you mean? Do you mean the plow? Because I'm just using my regular old cyanoacrylate, little tubes that I always use. I only ever use these little tubes. I am in love with the little tubes. I never want to use any other big tubes. A Gundam Hey Hey. A Gundam Hey Hey. Yes, Charles, thank you very much. There's going to need to be a Gundam Hey Hey. Oh my god.
Could be done.
Yeah, I can totally see it right now. Alright, yeah. So we're going to be ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, when I said cuppa, apparently I meant cold Magners. It's just like a cup of tea, only totally different. And remember, kids, there's nothing like a mouthful of hay when you're thirsty. All right. It's true. I'm done with these. Wow. Well, no. That's not true. I can pigment them. Let's finish. I do not want to have to revisit these at any point. I am done visiting these. Put away the natural hair brushes, grab some synthetics. It's funny, the longer I do what I do, with the weathering especially, the more I find myself coming back to synthetic brushes. And it's why, as I look at adding brushes to our paint line, a lot of customer requests for it. But if we do, they're going to wind up golden Talcon. Not everything has to be sable, particularly since I don't want to stick sable into isopropyl or enamel, which is what our pigment fixative is. All right. So this is dark yellow, yellow earth, and burning sands. And I have a wee little thing. Yeah, Jordan, Secret Weapon now does etched brass for die cast models. There they are. In cooperation with Industria Mechanica, Michael over there. Yeah, we've got whole sets now of brass etch die casted detail sets. And that's where I got the plows, stop sign, yield sign. We've got wheel covers, we've got wheel spikes, all the window covers, gear shift, in case you want to add a little extra detail. There's a turret. So yeah, here's the plow bits for one of them. The other two plows I've already used, which is this style. So both of these are brass. So yeah, all the window pieces here are brass, including the riveted doors. Just find the holes, the dots in your brass. This one. So all those little dots. Just press them with a pen or a probe or whatever. And yeah, it'll push the rivet out the other side and boom, you've got a riveted metal plate. It's very exciting. All right, excuse me. All right, I need these tilted a bit more than they are because they're so wet. Phew. That's not going to put it on the thing with wheels, Justin. What you can do, but you got to turn the wheels sideways. There we go. All right. Come back to you because you will hit the back end. Yeah, Jordan, that technique has certainly been used by other folks in the past. But if you've ever picked up one of Michael's kits at Industria Mechanica, yeah, he's got a good head for the brass. As we continue to work on new pieces together, the company I work with can do 3-layer files, so I can actually etch from front and back. So we'll make some changes to these, some improvements. And yeah, brass etch is something we do well, so I'd like to start getting back to doing more of it. Focus on the front end of the vehicle, of course. Nice and messy right here. Let that one dry. Yeah, it's true, Jordan. It's one of the nice things about the brass for these is I know I've seen plenty of really incredible scratch conversions, and of course there's so much you can do with plastic hard. And yeah, I could do these rivets in plastic hard. It's not really difficult. It's just tedious and dumb. So why would I when I can just buy a product that gets it done for me easily? Yeah. In fact, I may have to do a show one of these days about rivets and such in plastic hard. It's something I do a lot of anymore because, again, it's tedious and I don't like it. Knowing those techniques is important. If I can share them, I will. Woo! That's one way to do it. It's not the right way. It's one way. All right, this guy's already got some oil weathering on him, which is nice. It's an oil paint from one of the previous demos, but because I'll be putting these on Etsy, one of the things I want to make sure I do with all of my Gaslands cars is give them the same basic weathering, so that if somebody's picking up more than one, they have a little bit of cohesion. Oop, right off screen for you. Womp. Sorry. Right. Shika, shika, shika. Sweep. Sweep. Just get a little bit of shika, 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 shika. And then, oop, take some of that pigment. Real quick. Because I want to really tone down that red. Pigment is a bit of a glaze. Bring it up onto the window area, windscreen area. seam of the runner here, side. Certainly be some accumulation there. Obviously, I need to hit the plow. This little rivet panel. Pew pew. Good. Stir this one up a bit. Shaking one, doing it. Ooh, too much pigment on my brush. Jordan, what I'm applying now are alcohol washes for 3 of the Secret Weapon pigment colors. I have Yellow Earth, Dark Yellow, and Burning Sands. And that tends to be the trio I do for yellow and brown sandy dirt. So by the time I finish this one, the others should all be dry, which will give me a great opportunity to come back and show you how the pigment's finished. Since, particularly when I applied it the first go-round, when I set it aside while it was wet, it's really hard to see what pigment is doing in that case. So we're going to see a little bit of a surprise when we get back to the other models here. A little heavier with actual pigment on this edge. This one, because it's all exposed here. Kick up from down there. Did I get this one? I think it did. Yes, it did. All right. From the top, then, let's have, why the 3 different yellow colors? Do you apply one in a wider, then narrower, and then lighter colors for a gradient effect? Jordan, that's sort of it. What I find is that particularly with the dirt, if I only have one color, I get a flat, uninteresting, and non-realistic finish. I generally find that a minimum of 2 colors is required to make any pigment application look realistic at all. And then from there, I like the 3rd color for not so much spot highlight as just a little visual pop. And that's the point of Burning Sands. Burning Sands is so bright that it's going to add a little visual pop to a couple of spots. Where I want to draw attention or I think something's interesting. With no faces on these in such a small scale, I'm less worried about drawing focus to a particular point on the model. Except for the guns, which will always be bright. All right, no big surprises in the pigment coloring there. Here you can see, let's get the focus. Focus. You must focus. Focus, you must. All right, so there you can see that dirt in there. Definitely see the brown and then the dark yellow. It's built up in there, more orange. Not a lot of pigment on this one, of course, because it was mostly finished to begin with. Now this one, definitely see colors on the plow. That little build up right there, including inside. Then you've also got dust on the hood, around here, in here, side runners. This bit right here is a little too heavy, but I can clean that off with my finger. Boom. This one, oh my gosh, way too heavy right there. So let's see what we can get out of that. The answer may be nothing. It's an ISO wash and it's had time to dry. Good news is we can at least make horrible sounds. I got it wet with water, just water. Doing that with ISO would have stripped the paint by now. So all right, here we've got our hood, which I dusted up through here. Just little spots here and here. This one got a heavier application. I'll clean some of this off right here. It's a little heavy for me. On to the runners. Bit on the back. This one, remember, got very little, except along this front here, where I did a very subtle bit of the brown. And then in the front with a bit of the yellow too. And of course the plow. And Jordan, thank you very much. That's why I love Workbench Wednesday. It's why I love being able to share the process, especially if I have the opportunity to answer questions. I mean, answering questions from my audience is honestly my favorite part of the job. Whether I get them by email or, you know, hopefully here on Workbench Wednesday, so I can just be like, boom, yeah, you want to see that? Hey, here's a video. Ka-chow. Yeah, it really is my favorite part of the job. I just can't replace that with anything. Nothing stands in for it. That said, we're coming up on the end of this, so I'm not going to have time to work on my truck today. It's mostly back down to Gaslands that are in front of me, and Magners to the side of me. Yes, indeed. Yeah, does anybody out there have any last questions? Yeah, so some of the chipping effects, like on this, are obviously created by me using paint. But in this case, because this is one of the cars I did not drill out, that's why I painted the windows. So I just covered all that up. Ostensibly, I could actually take some ISO and strip the windows, and boom, we'd have plastic again and see the interior. But these chips, because this is an old car, I got this in a bag from a friend Hollis. And yeah, so the chips that I highlighted here came with the model. They are actual chips in the paint. I also didn't strip it. But when I find those, a lot of the time, I'll just incorporate them into the model. I mean, there's no reason for these Gaslands cars to be shiny and new. That was the car with the most of them. Yeah, it's really the car that's the most beat up. I'll run into a bit of that on this one as well, though, where you can see that it's missing paint here and whatnot. Of course, I've already drilled this one out to include poles coming out of the back. One thing that made me sad is I have another vehicle. Looks like I cleaned that one up. I tried to get them all off of my desk. A similar body that has a cockpit that included a roll cage built into it. And I'm sorry that this interior is already in and glued at that because, yeah, I totally would have swapped out. At the moment, it's going to be open. Jordan, how do you find that Etsy shop? Well, it's not up yet. My hope is to have it up by the end of the week, Monday at the latest. I've got a lot of administrative work, particularly things I need to order, like paint supplies for the warehouse, and paint bottles and caps and nipples and what's the other thing? Anyway, lots of stuff I need to order for the warehouse today. And I need to get the photos of these taken, and as soon as that's done, these will be up in the Etsy shop, as well as a bunch of the models that I have in my display cabinet over here. I've been cleaning that out slowly, and I've done the first run of offers to my regular patrons, and yeah, everything else is just going to wind up on the Etsy shop because I find that's an easy place to just keep my models listed, and yeah, they'll just be waiting there. But I'll put together a little Gaslands category because I would like to be able to do more Gaslands cars. I find them really fun, relaxing, and also to set up a line for Gaslands commissions because I know there are some folks out there that are going to want some of these and whatnot. Yeah, it'll be fun. So yeah, I'll make sure that the Etsy shop gets into comments in the future when I plug it here, but otherwise you'll see it on Facebook. I'll probably, yeah, in fact, I will put that up on the Secret Weapon channels as well. Since it's relevant, I will mention that models that get painted on Workbench Wednesday, a lot of them will wind up there, especially since so much of what I do for Workbench Wednesday to show techniques and stuff is are models that aren't commissioned or I don't need to collect. For instance, you know, the Gaslands stuff originally started out as my team, but I've got a much different vision for that now. As soon as I started, it changed. Go figure, right? Yeah, that was my 3-car team right here. Yeah, I'll make sure that word about the Etsy shop gets out. Yeah, a friend giving Hot Wheels to a 5-year-old to get them chipped up quite effectively in short order. Sounds like a great idea. Yeah, my kid, I don't know if I can actually see one. I don't see one handy. He's actually been playing with the brass etch as well, because he'll do Gaslands conversions. Yeah, I don't know where the one with the plow went. It's on his desk somewhere, but good luck. I said I'd help him clean his desk again. I'm afraid. All right, but yeah, even Seamus has been playing with the brass etch, so he's got some cool Gaslands stuff over here. He's not delicate with paint, but he's otherwise delicate with his models, which is kind of fun. Probably a habit that he got doing all of the gunpla, though, because, you know, he knows very well that if you mishandle the gunpla while you're playing with it, because of course he plays with them, the posable robots at that point, that things like the arms will come off and whatnot, and that makes it less fun. So he's learned to be pretty gentle with his models, and I think that's kind of hilarious, actually. But yeah, unless there's more questions, that's it for today. Yeah, definitely keep an eye out for the Etsy shop. I'll have the Gaslands cars up there. And remember, if you want to commission a hey-hey, we'll paint you a hey-hey any way you'd like. And we've definitely added a Gundam hey-hey to the list of hey-heys that have to get done. So yeah, the first batch will include Totoro and Rick and Morty, Deadpool. We're gonna have some fun with this. And again, totally chuffed that the Secret Weapon paint proved itself once again to be the toughest available to me. It's almost like we make a good paint or something. Maybe biased. Doesn't make me wrong. All right, folks. Happy hobbying. As always, thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate having you here with me every Wednesday. And of course, if you were a first-time viewer or you haven't commented yet, please remember to like, subscribe, bells, whistles, all this stuff, so you make sure that you keep up with everything that Secret Weapon is doing. And yeah, stay tuned. Next week, I should definitely be talking about the upcoming Kickstarter for our pre-painted vases. It was great being able to preview those. Later today, better samples are coming. And yeah, I'm chuffed. I am dead chuffed. You can't even. All right, it's going to be amazing. Awesome. Jordan, I look forward to seeing what you're working on. Everyone else, happy hobbying. See you next week, if not sooner. I'll answer this question from Charles here. Being already set up for YouTube Live, have I given any thought to adding Twitch to the live shows? No. I mean, I can. No reason not to add it since I know they do a cross-platformy thing. Just hasn't been a priority. But if you see good reason for me to do that, drop me a note either on Facebook or via email. Let me know what you're thinking, and I'll be happy to give that a go and make sure that we're up on Twitch as well. I definitely want to have the most opportunity to reach everyone as I can. So thank you for the idea, and we'll chat about it later. Happy hobbying, everyone.